Good evening, friends. I am Pooja from YuvaManthan, and we are live again on 12th May. This is Saturday, 8 o'clock. So, today we have Chanda Jain, and we are going to discuss about effective communication and personality development. But before that, I'll just take a minute to tell you more about who we are and what we do. So, YuvaManthan is a group of people who work specially on solving problem of youth generations and students, and we are also trying to connect you with the expert of your particular field or in the field which you want to be in your future life. So we are here to discuss and solve your problems, so stay connected with us. And as we told, today we are gonna and before that, if you are watching on your, so you can ask your questions directly to our guest. uh, for that you have to go to YouTube browser, and you can get a live chat option on your right hand side, where you can type your question, and we will our guest will answer your question. And in your mobile phone, you can get the chat option at the below of at the bottom of your screen, where you can type your question and you can directly ask to our guest. So stay updated with us. And today we are going to discuss about effective communication and the personality development. So in our normal life, wherever we go, we hear like for interview dene jana hai, so you have to be good in communication so that you put your point effectively, and you should be dressed well, a well person. You should show some gentle gesture towards the towards whomever you are meeting. So we will discuss in detail about all this stuff and how important this is and how you will learn. So please welcome our guest, Chanda Jain. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, Pooja. Thank you for welcoming me on your show.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. It's our pleasure to have you. So I hope you are doing fine. So I'll
Yeah, of
give you,
course.
yeah. So I'll give a little description, like what all you have done to our guests, our audiences. So Chanda Jain is a mentor of change in Atal Incubation Center, and also she is certified trainee of development, and she is working in this field since 19 years. And ma'am, please tell us more about you so that the audience will get to know about you in detail.
Thank you so much, Pooja, for allowing me to speak about me. See, it's a pleasure to speak about a person herself or himself, because as we will be discussing further, also that
Yeah,
introduce yourself is going to be the basic question in
yeah.
any conversation, right? So, if I talk about myself, I'm an MBA followed with NET Advanced Diploma in Fashion Technology from IFT. I'm also a topper of IIT Bombay in spreading information and communication technology in higher education, and also received STEP Award of Excellence. I'm a certified trainer, wireless training by British Council. And other than that, I have been in training and development for the last 19 years. And by God's grace, I have done quite well in these areas. And recently, we were working with Utter Innovation Mission, as you have already told, as a mentor of change. Personality development and communication has been my area of interest since now last around 15 years, because I'm working in these areas. As of nowadays, effective communication is the key of success in any of the areas.
Mhm.
You talk about anything, if you are able to communicate effectively, if you are able to tell the person right way, then half of the job is done.
Yeah.
So that
Uh,
is all about me, and you can start with your questions.
yeah. So, like as you told us just now, like effective communication is very important nowadays. How, what is the impact of communication in student life and the corporate life is the first question. And the second question, how a student or any youth, any person can learn about better communications and all the better communication skill, better interaction skills, what make them,
Uh,
yeah,
I'll answer your questions one by one, Pooja. Firstly,
yeah.
you have asked what is the impact of communication in student life and corporate life. See, if I start with student life, how do we represent ourselves? Through communication only, right? So if you are able to tell the right message to the right person at the right time, 90% of your job is done. Okay, if effective communication is not only about the language. It's not only about how you are going to, it constitutes how you are going to present it, what is your body language, and the words you have chosen to speak. So it's a combination of whole thing. And when I talk about students, they have to give presentations, they have to deliver their, they have to pass their interview rounds. So effective communication becomes a key. I have seen at times some students, especially in engineering and management, where I have been teaching since long, that students are very good in technical knowledge. But when it comes to HR rounds, they are not able to clear, or when it comes to group discussion rounds, they are not that effective. So what is the point of whole exercise if you are not getting through the last round? Because generally HR is the last round.
Yeah.
Right. So if I firstly in a student's life, if they want to start the simplest of the career, so effective communication is very much required, because in any case you have to pass the interview, you have to face the HR round, right? So that is why and when your second part of your question was the importance in corporate life, right? So again, when we will be working, any student who is going to work in corporate, the very first requirement, and the studies show, those people who are effective communicators, they succeed better, they get better appraisals, they get better promotions. Why so? Because nowadays this era is knowledge driven, right? If I talk about probably 100 years back, so our era was, physical work driven. But now this era is knowledge driven, and you have to disseminate the knowledge from one person to another. For that, communication is required. Fine. If your boss has given you certain instructions and you are not a good listener, you have not taken them seriously, so then how you are going to decipher them again? You can't go to your boss again to ask the instructions, right? So communication is equally important in corporate life as well.
Yeah.
So this was your first question. So when I say the importance, so 90% of the success of a person, whether it's a student life or a corporate life, depends upon the effective communication. And you will see nowadays relationship building is the essence of work. If you don't build up good relations around you and your network is weak, so then you will not be able to rise high. Fine. So this is the basic essence of communication, that nowadays business has become a byproduct of relationship building.
Yeah.
Right. So effective communication is equally required both in student life and corporate life. Your second question was how we can means improve the communication skills, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is a process. If I talk about communication skills, firstly we need to understand what is the requirement of communication. Requirement of communication is not only a good language. Good language is the first thing which you should have, and for good language you need to read a lot. In having a good language, as you must be knowing, that basic knowledge of any language is required to express yourself, right? But when it comes to business, when it comes to corporate life, especially in India, whether we like it or not like it, English is the language of business.
Yeah.
Right. So it means you should have a good command over the language. And how does this command comes? That is the basic question, because most of the students who come to me, they mostly ask me that, ma'am, my English is poor, I'm not able to frame good sentences, what should I do? So the answer of these questions is that you should be in touch with the language. See, if we go to some foreign land, for example, I am a North Indian, I am from UP. If I start living in Chennai, after a few days, I'll start picking the words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, probably 6 months or so, I'll be able to learn basics of the language of Tamil. Fine. So this is example which shows that we subconsciously pick the words from our environment. So to improve the language, this is the very first and foremost requirement, that we should be in touch with the language. We should speak language, we should read, and when it comes to speaking, do you know what plays most important role, Pooja? Listening plays the most important role. You know, our brain works in a little different way. In India, you will see, if a Punjabi is speaking English, if a South Indian is speaking English, if a Bihari is speaking English, we can very easily identify to which state the person belongs. Is it
Yeah.
no? Isn't it so?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. So for we need to develop a neutral accent. For that, listening plays the most important role. More you listen, more your voice. See, our voice comes from our vocal cords, but which voice will come is directed by our brain. Okay, so it is important that our brain should be directed in the right way, and which comes with listening. So, for effective communication, two things are the basic pillars: one is reading, and one is listening. If you read well, your brain will start picking the structure of the sentences, and when you will be speaking, those sentences will come automatically, firstly. Secondly, if you are a good listener, again, sentence framing will be set in your brain, and it will be another added advantage that accent will be improved. Okay, because nowadays we are working in cross culture, means companies, most of the companies are MNCs, and people from various backgrounds, various cultures, various countries are coming here. So we need to develop an accent so most of the people could understand, right? For that, listening plays a very important role. So when it comes to improving the language, improving the communication, firstly a person need to work on the language. Then second thing comes your gestures, your body language, how do you deliver the message? Because it is equally important. If you have chosen good words but you are not able to speak them properly, then it will not have desired effects.
Yeah.
So we have to see the body language also. We have to see how we are going to deliver the message, our voice, pitch, tone. See, softness and politeness in voice, and try to frame polite sentences is a basic essential thing in effective communication. Because as I have told you earlier also, now we are talking to people who belong to various communities, various cultures. So we have to be a little, cautious while speaking. So second thing which comes in the way is that a person should be aware about the body language. Person should be aware about the gestures, about the voice, about the tone. So firstly, when you have a good command over the language, second, when you take care of your body language, your gestures, then confidence itself comes.
Yeah.
So this is, I believe, that to improve the communication, these are the basic two pillars. Firstly, improve your language, which comes with reading and listening, and of course speaking. And the second thing is a person should be careful about the body language, about the gestures which he or she is producing, because as you must be knowing, in communication, non-verbal communication plays equally effective role.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think people who are listening us got a very detailed idea about why communication is very important in our era, and also about how uh, we can learn about effective communication and practice about it. So I'll just jot down the few points what ma'am have just told us. Listen for for being a good communicator, you have to be a good listener first. So listen carefully, read. If English is not your you are not fluent in the English, then read newspaper articles and listen what people is saying, and also understand the people whom you are communicating before using your phrases. And body language and gesture also play a very important role. So, ma'am, so once we are in good in the communication, then the second thing comes of personality development. So
Right.
people say you should be a very good personality whom people would love to see or talk to. So what personality plays in today's world role in the education or in the company or at the workplace, and how one can be develop their personality whom people would love to meet and enjoy their company.
Pooja, firstly, I would like to explain what personality is.
Yeah,
Generally, students, especially students, they confuse personality with good looks, right?
yeah, I agree.
But it is not so. See, God is quite generous to us human beings, and he is smart enough to create a different every individual differently. But what we do, we try to copy others, and in the whole process, our own individuality is lost. God has created each individual with a different, this DNA and with different fingerprints. No two fingerprints are same in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It means no two person can be same.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Personality means comfort in your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
When you are comfortable with your own skin, with your own existence, and
Mm-hmm.
then you start grooming yourself. If we live with some inferiority complex, that person is taller, that person is fairer, that person is thinner than me, so this is not going to work. Personality is basically a combination of traits. It's not about looks. It's about those individual traits which God has blessed you with, and then you have groomed about them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so personality means a person who knows his trade, who can speak well, who can present himself well, and it is all about grooming yourself. It is not about the looks, it is all about how do you present yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So most
Yeah,
of the students, many students come to me that, ma'am, my height is short, how means I don't look good. Then I always
yeah,
say them, please don't
yeah,
confuse your personality with your height. This is something you can't change.
yeah,
But
yeah.
your personality you can always change. You can always groom yourself. There's never late to groom yourself. So my first question, my first answer is, firstly understand who am I, what are
Mm-hmm.
my traits. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I can be very good in communication, so why
Mm-hmm.
not to improve upon that communication? If I'm a good listener, I can work on listening, then I can disseminate the things to others.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, personality is a combination of traits which a person have, and we should focus to develop those traits to groom ourselves rather than copying someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first thing when I say personality. The second point which you said, that personality development,
Yeah.
how we can firstly, if we understand ourselves, what is my personality, what are my traits, we need to do a simple exercise so that you can make a simple pros and cons list. What do I have and what do I lack? You can do a simple who am I exercise for that. Okay, when you do this simple exercise, you start writing about yourself, then you
Mm-hmm.
will come to know about your traits. What strong points do I have? What are my weaknesses? Some people have stage phobia, they can't speak on stage. Some people are afraid of speaking before many people. They are otherwise very good. So we need to understand what are the requirements of my personality, what are those areas where we need improvement. If I talk commonly, most of the students have problem in speaking. They are good in writing, but they are not able to speak well. And secondly, most of the time students are nervous when they are speaking. These
Mm-hmm.
are the common issues which students face. Again, I would say being genuinely good is something which will change the personality thoroughly. You work on yourself, your personality will be changed. If you have problems in speaking, speak. That is the only solution. You might be wrong, you might be right. In the beginning, people might laugh on you. Doesn't make any difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we all improve.
Mm-hmm.
We have to fail first to get past. Everybody, even no one in the world means they. I don't believe there might be somebody who have never failed in life.
Yeah.
So to develop our personality, it is very much important. Firstly, we understand ourselves, and then we start working on the points which we find strong points. Yes, these are my strong points. I should make them stronger. These are my weak areas. These are maybe communication. It may be presentation. It may be grooming, and then we start working on those areas. So
Mm-hmm.
this is how, this is the basic idea of personality development. That don't look at others. Everybody does not fit in the same shoe, right?
Yeah.
So please craft your, design your own personality development theory. Know yourself. I always say know yourself. Until unless you know yourself, you will not see someone else. I can't suggest about puja. Puja knows better, puja, isn't it so?
Yeah.
Right. So this is my idea of personality development, that a student or a person should try to know himself or herself first, prepare a list of pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses, weak points and strong points, and then start working upon them. Seek a guidance for some expert for the weak areas and start working upon those areas.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I think this is a very good answer. So, first of all, you need to know about that personality is not about a good looking, only about good looking. Personality is being who you are at your best. So, you have to know about who you are and what personality you have and what add-ons you want to do on. So if you are good at something, make it good, and if you are weak at something, work on it and make it good. And if you think that you need help, you can go and ask to talk to ma'am or any other experts available there. So ma'am, we have few questions. I'll just take few questions quickly.
Yes,
Am I?
yes, Pooja.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. Yes, I've seen this question from Mr. Rohit.
Yeah. So Mr. Rohit is asking, I heard that you have, I heard that
You have to ask the right questions
right
to get
questions
right.
to get the right answer. Yeah.
Very nice question, Rohit. Firstly, you
Ma'am,
know,
I'll just read the question so that the other audience who will listen this later will
okay,
be
fine.
aware of this question.
Okay.
So Rohit is asking, I heard that you have to ask right questions to get a right answer. So how can I ask right question in effective way?
Very good question, Rohit. See, if you want to ask the right question, what is the prerequisite for that? You should know what you are going to means what event you are going to attend, where you are going, to whom you are going to ask the question. What is the expertise area of the person? For example, if you are here, you ask me a question from physics, there is no use.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask me a question about personality development, about communication development, about English, I can answer it well. So the right way to ask the right question is to do your homework before you are going to ask the person what is the area of expertise and what is my query about that area.
Yeah.
Then you will be able to frame a good question,
Mm-hmm.
and then only a person can give you the right answer. So
Yeah.
firstly, you have to do your homework to ask a right question.
Yeah, so it means like if somebody is going to join a conference of any particular area, so he or she should learn about what who is coming and what they are going to talk about, so that they can ask a better question and have a better networking or communication.
Yeah, that is why, Pooja, you must be knowing in most of the seminars, agenda and the profile of the people who are going to be there is circulated in advance,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that people can prepare their questions. For example, in any of the conferences, journalists come. So they don't
Yeah.
ask random questions. They come
Mm-hmm.
with preparation that we have to ask this particular question from this celebrity or from this politician. So that homework is required to ask right questions.
Yeah.
Whom we are going to ask and what is the area of expertise of that
Yeah.
person so that we get a right answer.
Yeah. So Rohit, I think you got your answer, and if you have any more query, please let us know. And there is one more question Rohit have. He is asking how to understand.
Sorry, sorry, Pooja. Firstly, we should take the question from Mahima because we have already given one answer to Rohit.
Okay, means I just. So the Mahima's question is, which book is good to learn the English and good communication?
Yes, actually, this is a good question. That is why I have taken this question because most of the time students are confused whether we should go with some grammar book or what should we do to understand English.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, again, I would suggest out of the way strategy. Don't go for any grammar book. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to work out. And the reason behind is this: that's until unless you use those rules, you are
Mm-hmm.
not going to pass some exam. If you have to pass some 10, 12 exams, obviously the book is going to work out because you will cram the rules, you will puke out in the exam, and you will get passed,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in general way, if we want to learn good English, read. Start with simple storybooks, children story books. Why so? Because stories have characters, and when characters are there, they communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You learn to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you want to be good in English, the basic thing is that you should start with simple reading. Start storybooks, start simple novels. You can see most of the people would say that you should read articles, you should read newspapers, you can read means difficult books, you should go through the grammar. But believe me, the easier books will get you into better English.
Yeah.
And the reason behind is, as I told you, that in novels, in books, there are lots of characters who
Mm-hmm.
talk to each other, who communicate with each other. So you understand the real gist of the language.
Mm-hmm.
See, written language is another thing. Spoken language is another thing. Okay, when
Yeah.
I write an email to my boss, my language is entirely different. But
Mm-hmm.
if I'm talking to my students, then my language is entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we need to make a balance between these two, and good vocabulary itself comes when we read a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I always suggest my students to read on diversified platforms. Don't stick to one thing. You can go on YouTube, you can go on BBC, then you listen to TED Talks, then you go to Quora, read the answers from people, and then you grab some good books, some simple good books. I won't suggest that you would go for with Einstein or with Stephen Hawking. I won't suggest that. Go what you love to read.
Mm-hmm.
Start reading
Yeah.
with that only.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you get into the habit of reading, then you will itself start communicating well, because reading has a very large impact on our brain.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and if I would suggest some, I will give a specific answer for books also. You can go through Renan Martin, you can go through Norman Lewis for good English. Then we have few websites also which are doing really well, that like Test Funda, like Unacademy. They are doing really well in English courses. It is all free. Any student can go there. They can see their lectures. Then they can ask questions, and they are also effective. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so there are a lot of content available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Mahima, there are. I think you got a answer about books, and there are few website also, ma'am have mentioned. So I'll just repeat it for you. These are Test Funda, Unacademic, and few other. You can find it online. So, ma'am, I'll just add one of our question from at this point. Like, what is difference between communication skill and learning skills? Learning English. Uh,
Okay, right.
so many
Mhm.
times student confuse about like if I will know a good English, I have a good vocabulary, so I can use a big heavy word in the communication, so it will make me a good communicator. So what is the difference between these two
Firstly,
parts?
I would like to quote Ajim Premji here. You must be knowing Ajim Premji is heading Wipro,
Yeah.
right? He
Mm-hmm.
is a chairperson of Wipro. He took a seminar in IIM Ahmedabad. Okay, and then once there was a question and answer round, and one student stood and he asked some question from Mr. Ajim Premji, and he was like, he answered the question, but then he said, "Sir, whatever you have spoken, I believe even half of the people who are sitting here, they are not able to understand your language. It is so complicated."
Mm-hmm.
So complication of language does not make a good effective communicator. A simple language, what is the toughest means figure in geometry? To draw a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
You can draw any figure very easily, but if I
Yeah.
ask you to draw a straight line without the help of a scale, it will be difficult.
Yeah.
Right? So it is difficult to be simple. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to be difficult. Okay, so when it comes to the language, it's not necessary that you use heavy words, you use complicated words, you use words which people don't understand and they will take you as a good commentator. No. Language should be balanced and it should appeal to your audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? So language is another thing, and when I say learn, communication is a two-way thing. If I'm speaking something my audience is not able to understand, then I may be a very good in English. It is of no use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? So for effective communication, we need to understand our audience and use a language which appeals them, which connects with them. Why everybody wants to listen Mr. Modi?
Mm-hmm.
Because he uses a language which connects with the audience.
Yeah.
Right? And second part of the question was learning English. Learning any language requires few efforts. See, there are four parts of any language learning: reading, writing, listening, and speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have to work on all these four aspects. We have to listen, we have to read, we have to write, we have to speak, and
Yeah.
through various sources. If you will
Mm-hmm.
stick to some one thing, you will get bored. As simple.
Yeah.
So it will be diversified. At times I'm listening video on TED Talks. At times I'm playing a drama with BBC Learning. At times I'm watching a Hollywood movie. I just love Tom Cruise. Right.
Yeah.
So you also so this is the mixture. It's a combination.
Yeah.
Fine. So that strategy has to be developed, that we are not supposed to stick somewhere else. At times I'm reading Chaitan Bhagat, and at times I'm reading Amish Tripathi.
Yeah.
So it has to be a combination. To learn any language, that you are through with literature, you listen that language, you write the same language. And when it comes to vocabulary, means any language if I speak about, and when we say English, what is the best way to improve your vocabulary? Generally, what happens with the children, with the students, that we learn few words today, or we maybe after 1 week, all the words are gone. Only one or two are remaining in memory.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the most common problem which we
Yeah.
face when
Yeah.
learning any language. So
Mm-hmm.
what should we do? Associate it with something. Firstly, make sentences of that word which you can correlate with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you will never forget those words.
Yeah. Yeah.
So means you have to develop a strategy, a diversified strategy, and you have to work on all four aspects of communication. Then only you can learn a good English.
Yeah. So I think audience got a very good answer. Like communication skills is totally about how you are conveying your message to your audience, and and English, learning English is more about learning a language, which will make you more expert in communication. If you will learn English from the diverse source, you can handle diverse situations without facing any difficulties. So, ma'am, we will take one more question, and this is a very critical question. Maya is asking how to prepare for the interview and how to qualify group discussion, because I have disqualified 7 times in group discussion. So, please help me. So,
Uh,
yeah.
Very good question, Maya, and please don't get disheartened. I was also, in the beginning of my career, probably I was rejected in 10 or 15 group discussions, so it's okay. It happens, right? See, when it comes to group discussion, generally students think that if we have aggressive tone, if we speak more, we can qualify. It is not so. Firstly, we need to understand group discussion is not a debate to win. It's a discussion. There's
Mm-hmm.
no winner, no loser.
Mm-hmm.
If you are able to put your point forward in the right way and you can connect with all the audience, then you will be taken positively. And when it comes to group discussion, the key is in the content. You should have right content to speak about. Don't bluff ever. If you don't know the data, please don't mention. If you don't know about the topic, it's better to stay mute rather than speaking something which does not qualify or does not relate with the topic. So when it comes to group discussion, again I would say diversified reading plays a very vital role, because then you know a lot. You have read the newspaper, you have seen the movies, you have seen discussions, so you can speak a lot about lots of things. Right. So, firstly, we should understand that aggressive tone or being, like
Loud.
loud, or being in feeling making a debate is not going to work out in group discussion. Firstly, secondly, you are supposed to attack the issue, not the person. Are you getting my point? Means
Yeah.
in a group discussion, if a person has given a thought which doesn't suit you, which you want to oppose, you are going to oppose the thought, not the person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in group discussion, most of the time students do this mistake, that they get personal. Please don't
Yeah.
do this. You are against the thought. You have nothing to do with the person.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, in group discussions, students also do this, that they think that if we speak more, we will get more marks. It is not so, because the person who is your invigilator, who is your observer, he or she will be seeing that whether you are allowing others to speak or not. Because nowadays in companies we need people who can work in team.
Yeah.
Right. We don't need somebody who wants monopoly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or somebody who just want to speak and don't want to listen to anybody. So it's important that you allow others also to speak. If you take initiative, at times this also happens, because I have been in certain GDs in colleges also. So I have seen that 2 or 3 students make subgroup. They start talking to each other, they start discussing with each other. Again, it creates a negative impact. You should address the whole group. Don't
Yeah.
discuss means amongst yourself. Okay, so these are few things which if you keep in mind, so next time you will be able to qualify the group discussion. And again, I would say the role of content and language is very, very important in the group discussion. So please read a lot about diversified topics. You read about social topics, you read about economic topics, about technical topics, about general, about politics. Means you should have a basic idea what is
Mm-hmm.
going on around you, so that you can speak about that idea. And for
Mm-hmm.
that to speak, obviously you need good language. So if you have a good language, you have command over good language, and you are able to express the way content relevantly, then there is no reason that you will not get selected. And the first part of the question, how to prepare for the interview. See, when you are preparing your interview, there are few things which you should always keep in mind. When you start preparing for the interview, very first requirement is obviously the language, then your own body language and grooming. Again, I would suggest you that please pay some attention towards your attire. It should be formal, firstly, and it should be, it should be comfortable also. I have seen, especially girls, that they put on such attire which is smart, but they are not comfortable. So what happens in interview? At times you have to wait for hours. You start getting tired, exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what happens? Whatever you know, you are not even able to express that even.
Mm-hmm.
So which goes against the candidate, right?
Yeah.
So please get the formal attire which is
Uh,
comfortable to you. Yes.
Ma'am, means in the this same line we have one question from Nakul, and he is asking, does wearing coat during interview matters? And if so, why some students don't try that? So.
Yeah, a good question, Nakul. See, it depends upon the weather. In India, we have a hot climate most of the time throughout the year, right? So if you are sitting outside of the interview and AC is not working, you will be sweating profusely.
Mhm.
So what is the point of wearing a coat? Right? But yes, if you are comfortable, coat always looks good. If you can carry that, if the weather allows you to wear a coat, please go ahead. But please see that if in hot summers like May or June, you are going for an interview, you are wearing a coat and you are sweating, then there's no point. As I told you, a simple formal attire with a simple tie will do better rather than coat. So it's not a necessary thing you should always wear. Yes, but in few MNCs. But I think we are talking to the students, as I believe.
Yeah, we are talking
We
to
are
the student, but the final year student who will also sit in the
Yeah, yeah,
upcoming
we are talking to the
life.
students because code becomes mandatory on higher level. For example, if I'm going to appear for, I have experience of 15 years and I'm going to appear for the interview, then there is certain other code of conduct. But for
Mhm.
freshers, code is not necessary. But if your drive is being conducted in November, December, January, then you can opt for code because it obviously makes a gets a grace on the percent.
Yeah, yeah. So we were discussing about Maya's question about how to prepare for the interview, and you were about like you just told us opt a good attire because it matters a lot and it should be comfortable. And also, Maya, you got the question about the group discussion thing. So the key point what ma'am has mentioned here is listen carefully and give others chance to speak. It is not like if you will speak more you will get a more marks or your chances of selection will be higher. Make a concept and make your language strong for a group discussion, and try to address whole group instead of making subgroups. And the other important point is don't go aggressive or don't be loud. because all what matter in the group discussion is your concept, your way of representation, how you're talking to or how you're communicating to the uh, other member of the group discussion panel. So group discussion is discussion and it is not debate, and no one is going to win. This is what I quote you here because this is a very strong point students should understand. So, ma'am, when it comes to prepare for group discussion, how one can prepare for it? So, like there are two sort of audience. One, they might have finished their college and they are in the home and preparing for the interviews, and another they were students who are yet in the final year or third year and preparing for the interview. So, how these two group of the students can prepare for group discussion?
Guidelines are more or less same for all the students who are preparing for group discussions. And as I have earlier told you that group discussion is not a debate, so you should use polite words firstly. Your command over the language should be good. Then you should know the content. The In most of the GDs, the most important role is played by the content. If you have a valid point, nobody can cut it. As simple.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if I say that India is growing and we are into our GDP growth has been this much this year, so this is
Mm-hmm.
an official authentic data. Nobody can deny this thing. So the role of content is very important in group discussion. Most of the time students think that content is not that important, but let me tell you, content is the most important thing in any group discussion. So when you are preparing for group discussion, please go through various topics.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the topics are available on Google. You can read about them, and mostly general topics are being asked in interview, in group discussions. So see what's happening around us. What are the phenomena which is going through? Recently we had this hurricane warning and nothing happened. What is the reason behind? Why don't we know about that? So when you are
Mm-hmm.
preparing for a good group discussion, please go with what is happening around nationally, internationally. You should have a basic idea about the basic things of your country, because it is very important that your content should be relevant and good. Secondly, as I told you, good language will play a very important role. And third, and the most important, your attitude towards the team, towards the co-participants. Whether I have seen, I would like to share an example here with you. We were conducting a group discussion among the students, and I was the moderator. I was sitting over there and I was just watching the students, and one student was trying to speak, but probably she was a little shy and she was not able to keep her words on. Then one student took the initiative and he told all the remaining participants that she is trying to say something, we should listen to her. And that
Mm-hmm.
person gave a chance to other girl to speak. Okay, when she spoke really well, but this boy who has given her a chance to speak was given 2 extra marks,
Mm-hmm.
because this shows the gesture, the attitude of a person, that yes, he is ready to work with people who are not probably at the same caliber.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the key of group discussion is in attitude, language, and content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that comes with the practice and
Yes, that
like
comes with a
normally
lot of
being,
practice.
yeah.
Yes, you should practice with your friends. You should speak about various topics with them. That is, a general requirement.
So, ma'am, I'll just add some interview part of that. So, when we go for interview and we are giving our interview, some few questions are like well designed, and mostly people are being asked. Like first thing is tell us about yourself and
Yeah.
how, yeah, and the second thing is how you are gonna be helpful and why, in the very general sentence, why we should hire you, and few things where you see after 10 years and what are your expectations from our company. So how
Uh,
one student can answer this?
I'll answer one by one all these questions, Pooja. The
Acha.
first question is, tell us something about yourself. We need to understand the psychology behind this question, because in 99% of the interviews, this will be the first question.
Mhm.
And student might I ask me at times that we have already given them our CV. Then why
Yeah.
do they need to ask about us? All the information has been given already to them.
Mhm.
See, the psychology behind this question is to make the candidate comfortable.
Mhm.
What is the easiest thing a person to speak? His name,
Yeah.
about his family, about his interest. That's why this question is asked. But your 50% selection is based on the answer of this question, because this question gives you an opportunity to tell the interviewer which is not written in your CV.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a chance to share your vision, to share your mission, to share the goal of your life.
Mm-hmm.
How do you perceive about life,
Mm-hmm.
right? It gives you a chance that you can portray the trainings, the projects which you have undertaken, what are your accomplishments which you can show to them. So this
Yeah.
question has to be framed, I would say again, that this question has to be prepared very carefully, because this question will change the whole course of interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the way you answer this question, 80% of the questions will come from the answer of this question,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when a student is preparing the answer of tell me something about yourself, you should include about you, a little about your family, then the projects and trainings which you have undergone, what accomplishments you have achieved. Then you can talk about your hobbies, your strength, your weaknesses, then your vision, your mission and goal. There comes another question. Many times students ask me, ma'am, why should we tell them our weakness? We should tell our strength only,
Yeah.
right? But we all are human,
Mm-hmm.
right? Having a weakness makes you a real human. Nobody is perfect, right? So when you are preparing the answer of this question, tell us something about yourself, please be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Script your question, write the answer at least 10 times. Don't go by the answers given by Google on first page.
Yeah.
It takes us only 3 seconds to understand that from that site you have copied this answer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so please don't do that. Prepare, craft your own answer firstly, then take the help of your teachers, your peers, of some expert who's good in English. Refine your answer, write again, substitute simple words with good and polite words which have real good meanings. And then last thing is rehearsal. Practice is so much that if somebody wakes up you in midnight and asks you, tell me something yourself, so you are able
They
to
should.
answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's again nervousness in interview. So
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
have not rehearsed it properly, you will not be able to speak in flow.
Yeah.
So rehearsal is very much required to answer this question.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Um So I think a student should just load down this and practice in front of mirror or to their friends and listen to them. And I think this
uh,
question is very important because I have seen like interviewer after this they start asking about what you did after this and why you did this. So this is very
yes.
important part of the question. Yeah, ma'am. Please.
One point I want to add here, Pooja. As you said, rather than practicing before mirror, the very good idea is record your answer and listen it.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah.
So it makes a lot of difference when you listen yourself. Then you
Mm-hmm.
understand better what mistakes I am
Mm-hmm.
doing. See, when we listen to others, and if I speak something wrong, we will
Mm-hmm.
immediately identify that ma'am has spoken this word wrong. So same
Mm-hmm.
happens when you record your voice, you record your answers, and you listen to them. Then it gets easier to identify the mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
it
and
becomes
also
easy to improve them.
yeah, and the tone corrections and
Yes,
everything.
the tone
This,
corrections, everything. Yes.
yeah. So this was the first question. The second is like why we should hire you.
Yeah, why should we hire you? What else you have? What is the X factor, wow factor
Yeah.
that a person should be hired? See, company wants to know that whether you have done some homework or you have come just like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the psychology behind this question. Why should we hire you? What else extra you have in you? So when you start answering this question, firstly brief about the company, that this company, what they are doing, okay, and what strength, what skill set do you have which match the requirement of the company. For example, if I talk about a IT company, let's say TCS, which is going to be the largest IT company in India, is entering into 100 billion club. In fact, it has already entered into 100 billion club, and it is the second one company after Reliance who is entering. in 100 billion club. So if I'm going to means appear for TCS, so I should understand what is the area in which TCS is serving. If what is the basic languages they are using, what is the job for which I have applied. For example, if I have applied for software tester, so in which area my expertise is. If I know C language, or I know Java, or I know .NET, what do I know, and how I'm going to get contribute. Why should you hire me? Because I can perform this particular task with expertise, with efficiency. That's why you should hire me.
Yeah. And the another question what student face in most of the interview is like what student expect from them, or like why you want to join our company.
Yes, a very good question. See, again, your homeworks comes here. Uh, at times, what we have seen that students come for interview, but they don't know anything about the company. I have seen, for example, if the interviewer asks who is the CEO of my company, 90% of the students are not able to answer. Right. So, in the answer of this question, it is important that you have done your homework really well. I want to join your company because your company is doing work in this particular domain, which is correlated with my degree, with my technical expertise, with my area of interest. You are doing your HR policies are this much, which attracts me. You are giving fringe benefits to your employees. Your CEO is a well-known person who is taking care of the growth of the you're growing with this rate. These in these countries you are having offices. I might get a chance to go to foreign if I continue service with you. Means if you have done your homework really well about the company. Recently, I would share an example. A student was a senior student, not a means fresher. A senior student was going to, for me actually, he was a student still, though he has got some experience. So he was going to apply for Pune, India. It's a very large MNC, and they have around 4,300 employees in India, and probably 42 centers, and they make elevators. Right. So he asked me before going, and I suggested him that you should talk about the CSR activity which Pune is doing in India, which is really great. Right. So when he appeared for the interview, then the panel was very happy when he talked about their CSR activities. Yes, that I have interest, and when I will be having time, so I would love to teach those children who are not that much privileged. Right. And he got selected there. So if you have done your homework well about the company, then you can give them lots of reasons. Why do you want to join the particular company?
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for you to tell them about them, and everybody likes to listen about them.
Yeah, and I think this matters a lot for them, that the whom
Yeah,
they are going to hire, they know about them.
it shows that candidate is serious. It
Yeah,
shows that yes, candidate is really serious about joining the company. He or she has done some homework, and they are willing to go with the means with the company. If you are sitting blank before me, so it gives me an idea that you have come by some pressure or something, and you are not willing to join us.
yeah. I think this is a very good answer, and now student will answer very well this question in their interview. So the next question that is like very common in interview is like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Uh,
Okay. Pooja, most of the time, what happens in the answer of this question, students generally say, I want to be at a good position in your company. I want to be a manager in your company. Most of the time, I have seen these kind of answers. But, this is not the right answer. If I say 5 years down the line, I want to see myself a better professional. I want to be an expert in my domain.
yeah.
Okay, what I am doing, I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want to learn my trade. As a fresher, I am just starting my career, but 5 years down the line, I would see myself as an expert in this area. Right. So rather than naming some post that I want to be a manager, I want to be this, or I want to be that, rather than naming any post, naming any designation, you promote yourself. I want to be a better person. I want to have better technical skills, and 5 years down the line, I believe that I will be a better professional.
Yeah.
I will be an expert in my area. So when you do your trade well, so company is going to retain you,
Yeah.
right? So this should be the right answer for this question.
Yeah. So this is also a very good, add-on point for us, because I have heard of 80% of us are answering in the way like where what in terms of position, not in
Yes.
terms of growth or means personal development thing. So this is a very good point. I think we all should note it down and keep in our mind for our next interview. So, ma'am, the next question, what sometime we face is like, what are your strength and weakness? In during the interview, panel asks sometime, what are your strength and weaknesses? So, how to answer this direct question of strength and weaknesses?
See, in the beginning of the session, when we were talking about personality development, I gave you an idea. Work about yourself. Work on
Mhm.
yourself. Know yourself. If you know
Yeah,
yourself, you will be knowing your strength and weaknesses both.
yeah,
Right? Your strength can be anything. You can be punctual. You can be honest. You can be inquisitive. You can be a team leader. You can be a team player.
hmm,
You can be a team leader. You can be a good adapter. You can be means a good tech, you can be having good technical skills. You can be very good effective communicator.
hmm,
So
yeah,
that strength has to be identified by you only.
yeah,
No one else can help. No, other person only can tell you that yes, you are good in this. But at the end of the day, you are the person who is going to identify, yes, this is my strength.
hmm,
I do well in this area. When I'm given with certain, at times I have seen, student when, especially when it comes to weakness, that what is your weakness? Then they portray some strength as weakness. Okay, for example, they would say that until unless I complete my work, I can't. I stay means dissatisfied, or I can't keep calm. So see, people who are sitting in HR panel are not idiots,
yeah,
right? So the moment you say like this, so everybody starts smiling because it's some set answers. We don't want to listen that,
yeah. Means they have
right?
listened
We
this answer many times.
yeah, we have listened those answers, n number of times, and we know that you are not going to do that. You are a
Mm-hmm.
general, you are a normal person who likes to hang out with friends, who wants to spend weekend with your girlfriend, or maybe with your boyfriend. You want to chill out. So please don't say this.
Mm-hmm.
Say
Yeah.
what your actual weakness is. We all are human. Everybody has some weakness. It may be anything. Recently I had an interview. I would share some a very interesting incident. And I asked a student, okay, what is your strength and weaknesses? And the girl, she said, my strength is, ma'am, because that I can work with anyone. You can put me anywhere and I will be able to work. And then I asked her, okay, what is your weakness? Then she said that my weakness is that I can't communicate well. I said these two things are very much contradictory. On one point,
Yeah.
you are saying, so then she smiled and said that, ma'am, because that's why I can work with anyone, because my weakness is that I can't communicate, so I take the instructions. Okay, so means there are a lot of students, but when you are working on your weaknesses, please do understand whatever your weakness is, you should have some plan to tell how you are going to overcome it.
Yeah, when you will have a cross question on that. Yeah.
Yes, you will be having cross questioning on that. So you should have some plan to tell them, because you have diagnosed the problem, but
Mm-hmm.
you are not working to cure it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to work out. If you are
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed with some problem, so you take the medicine. As simple. So again, if you have identified that this is my weakness, so you should have some plan also to tell them, sir, this is my weakness and this is my plan to overcome. So
Yeah.
that is how you should answer these questions.
Yeah. So I think, friends, like for your strength and weakness questions, you have to prepare yourself. Like first, you have to understand yourself. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, so that you can answer it well instead of making some random points or searching on Google how to answer the strength weakness question in the interview. This will give a genuine answer and will lead you to a good group or a good panel or somewhere where you want to be actually and where you fit according to your strength and weakness. So,
Right.
ma'am, we have few more questions. I'll just take few questions before we proceed. So Rohit is asking one more question, and he has like, how to understand who I am. Is there any specific action understand about me? So I think we have discussed about it. So if you want to add
I'll
anything.
again speak two lines about this. Rohit, when you say, who am I? Write few questions. Firstly, who am I? Who is my ideal? What I want to be in my life? How I'm going to achieve that? What are the roadblocks, hurdles in my way, and what is my strategy to overcome? Answer these few basic questions. Write these questions, write the answers of these questions, and believe me, it will take you 15 days at least to answer these questions. You will not be able to answer these questions in one go, because when you start writing who am I, you will be confused.
Yeah.
You can write about anybody. You can write an essay of probably 500 words on Amitabh Bachchan, but when it will be coming to your own self, you will not be able to write 150 words rightly. So this exercise has to be done very seriously. Write few basic questions: what I am, who I am, what I want to be, what is the way to reach to my destination, what are the roadblocks, hurdles in between, and what is my strategy to overcome those.
Mhm.
When you will be writing the answers of these questions, you have to work a lot. You have to get the answers of so many things. Then itself it will come to you. It will dawn upon you, who am I? When you will be working on all these aspects. So, because this
Mhm.
will help you to set your goal, to find the way how I'm going to achieve that goal. Then
Mhm.
you have to create a blueprint, a
Yeah.
master plan to achieve that goal. Then you have to understand what is my strength and weakness in that particular area. Then you
Mhm.
have to work on improve your strength and improve your weakness as well. So it becomes a master plan it itself if you answer these few basic questions. And this is the best way to know who am I.
Yeah. So now when it comes to sit down and write, I think few of youth are like feeling lazy and they just sit down and write half of the stuff and they close it and they never come back and complete the list. So like how we can help those students to know about themselves and make a blueprint for their future, because not all students are good in planning, and sitting down and introspecting themselves ourselves is a very I think a very disciplined task. So few people will think, okay, leave it, I will do it after some time. Let's watch YouTube video, or let's just open the Facebook and just scroll the wall. So like what how we can motivate them, or
See, Pooja, motivation is like bathing. If you start once, you have to do it daily. So better don't start it.
Mhm.
Are you getting my point? Means I'm being a little sarcastic. Means see, motivation should come from inside. This is your life. No one
Yeah.
else is going to take the responsibility of your life.
Mhm.
Whatever you design, you will live in it. See,
Yeah.
I'll give a very simple example. If we want to create a hut, a jhompri,
Mhm.
right? How long will it take? Maybe 4 or 5 days,
Yeah.
right? But if I want to live in a mansion, it will
Mhm.
take years, right, to make a mansion. But if I build a hut, I will live in a hut. I build a mansion, I'll live in a mansion. It's
Mhm.
as simple. So motivation is something. How do I want to lead my life?
Mhm.
So if a student, we can talk to them. Obviously, teachers, parents can motivate students to do better, because discipline is something which has to be instilled from inside.
Yeah.
Outside discipline works very less when it comes to anybody. Then they will be working only that much which is required for survival. Only those people who are self-motivated, who are self-disciplined, can means continue, can complete the task. I'll give here an example. You must have heard Dr. Deepak V. Pathak from IIT Bombay. He has been awarded with Padam Shri and CSI, means Computer Science Lifetime Achievement Award. I would
Mhm.
suggest that students should see his YouTube videos on integrity, on ethics, and you will see that a person of his gesture can become so polite, so disciplined. I have never seen him late on lecture. If it is 9, it means 9, not
Mhm.
9-1, right? So our life is what we craft.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So motivation has to be from inside. Again, I will quote another example of Mr. Raghuram Rajan,
Mm-hmm.
ex RBI Governor of India,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. Do you know, other than being very literate, means educated, very well known, he has been recently appointed as the governor of Bank of England.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and one thing why I have named him here, he is also considered as one of the most polite and well mannered person in the industry.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
person of his stature can always opt to be rude, to be aloof. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
need to care about all these things. Still, he does, which makes him league apart from all other people. So it is our life, how we are going to craft it, how we are going to design it. So motivation has to come from inside. Yes, you can talk to people, you can have mentors, they will help you, but at the end of the day, it has to come from inside.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, if it is us who can make our life, no one external push only, lead you some small distance, but for for as a life thing, you have to get motivation from your inside.
Right.
Uh, So, ma'am, we have another question from Amir. Amir is asking, most of time we heard that start reading to learn effective communication.
Mhm.
Answer. But most of the today's generation is not habitual of reading a lot. They
Mhm.
also don't want to watch boring stuff. How
Mhm.
to solve this issue?
Again, the same thing. See,
Yeah.
who is asking you to read boring stuff? I always say, read what interests you. Don't go with boring stuff. Don't read newspaper. Don't go with articles. Read whatever interests you. It may be psychology. It may be palmistry. It may be astrology. It may be novels. It may be anything. There must be something which interests you. You don't need to
Mhm.
go to listen some boring motivational lecture or something which you don't like. Why don't you listen BBC and this learning English, and you can watch that Shakespearean drama. Why don't you
Mhm.
watch those things? You don't need to. You Why don't you, if you like comedy, watch comedy series? Who is
Mhm.
asking you to go through the boring stuff?
Mhm.
There's nothing like this that you should read boring only, then you can become good in English. You should read interesting, you will be better in English,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
So I think Amir, you got the answer. You don't need to read a boring stuff. Boring, what is boring for you? You just find your way of interest and read about that.
Yeah,
So, ma'am, Mohit Vishal have a question. Can you suggest something to improve our accent?
yeah.
So I think, yeah, it, yeah.
Especially in our country, our India is a diversified country. Means you go 50 miles and the language changes. So in
Yeah.
our country, accent is a real problem. It's a
Mhm.
real time issue with most of the candidates, because everybody wants a neutral accent, right? So as I earlier told in the same session, that our vocal cords comes with the voice, but the tone is decided by the brain.
Yeah.
Okay, the Burmese, what we are going to speak and how we are going to speak is decided by the brain. To train your vocal cords, it is important that you get right signal from brain. Okay, so the improvement of accent is 90% dependent on listening. If you
Mhm.
listen good videos, if you listen good language, it will automatically improve your accent. And please, when you listen, use your headphones, your earphones, which you use for listening music.
Mhm.
Okay, watch good videos in neutral accent, listen to them carefully, repeatedly listen those things, and your accent will start improving itself, because your subconscious brain will start picking the accent from those videos. See, if I talk about myself, I have worked a lot about South Indian people. So most of the time, people tell me that you have a little of South Indian accent in you, because I have worked with them. Though being core North Indian, because being from UP only, still I have that accent in me, because I have worked a lot with those people. So my subconscious brain has unconsciously picked up the accent, right? So accent the secret of having a good accent lies in listening. So if you listen neutral accent, if you listen good videos, and you put the means you give those signals to your brain, then you will be able to improve your accent very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Mohit, I think you got your answer. Ma'am, we have another question from our team side, and the question is: I have big tummy. Do I need to join gym to improve my personality?
Okay, a very interesting question. That see, it is your individual choice. If you like your tummy, don't go to gym. But if you want to look fit, go to gym. Okay, fitness is something which doesn't make you only smart.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness is something which helps you to perform better,
Mm-hmm.
improves your metabolism. Right, so if you exercise daily, it may be anything, it may be jogging, it may be exercising, you don't need to hit the gym only.
Yeah.
Right, so it is all about, because our neurons are being rebuilt every time, and
Mm-hmm.
exercising improves our metabolism. This rebuilding process of neurons, it becomes
Yeah.
faster. And if you are working 30 minutes workout at least 5 days in a week, so there will be, your learning will be much faster, your memory will be much better. Then, and you will be able to adapt things in a far better way. It's not about a big tummy only,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the a way of life you adapt for yourself,
Yeah.
right? So if you are in love with your tummy, please don't go. But if you want to stay fit, you want to look attractive, go to the gym.
Yeah. So I think it is your choice totally. So, ma'am, we
Yeah.
will just take up very few, I mean, quick questions like how to talk a interviewer effectively, and I'll just read 5 questions together. I think all questions answer lie in same line. So the questions are: how to talk interview effectively. Second is how to talk with investors effectively. How to influence others in means at a first conversation or in just 5 minutes, or like when we are in some seminar and we met some person and we want him or her as our co-founder or our colleague or some as a friend or as a life partner or whatever. So how to influence other person in 5 minutes, or like the people say your first impression is gonna be your last impression.
Right.
And uh, what how to deliver effective presentation and also public speaking.
See, these are two different things, Pooja.
Mhm.
That how to impress the person and how to deliver an effective presentation. These
Yeah.
are two separate things, and I'll answer them separately.
Yeah, sure.
When you talk about conversation with a person, see, what is the basic thing about conversation a person likes?
The
If
person
I,
should understand. Yeah.
uh,
The
would you
person
like
should
to?
understand our idea or what we want to express them.
See, everybody loves to be listened.
Yeah.
So if you listen to them first
Mhm.
rather than speaking, so it will make your conversation much more effective, because that person to whom you are conversing has already given you an idea about his or her likes and dislikes and the topic he or she wants to talk about. Then you have a pickup point. You don't need to start randomly.
Yeah.
Okay, give a chance to other person to speak first.
Mhm.
You will be having an idea that how to move the conversation further. Because if you start conversing yourself, there are a lot of chances that you start talking about a topic which other person doesn't like. So
Yeah.
please, to make an effective conversation in general terms, let the other person speak first. Then you will be having an idea about the likes and dislikes of the person, and then you can continue accordingly. And obviously, see, a polite language is always an added advantage, right? So if you speak politely with anyone, so it is going to give you an edge over the person. Okay, so when we talk about investors, they need to know what USP do you have, what is your idea. If I'm talking about investors, so means why should they invest in you?
Mhm.
That is the basic question. So you should have a pitch which interests them, which gives them an idea. Yes, this person is genuinely working on a particular idea, and this idea is sellable.
Mhm.
Then
Yeah.
they will have interest in you. See, if
Mhm.
I have to put my money so in you, your idea, so I should have trust in your idea. I should be
Yeah.
able to understand that this the girl is saying it is sellable. It is scalable. So
Mhm.
when we talk to investors, things are entirely different. But in general conversation, let the first person speak first, and then you can understand about the person, temperament of a person, language requirement of a person, and then you can proceed further accordingly.
Okay.
And the second question was about the presentations, how to deliver effective presentations.
Mhm.
See, presentation is an art. It's as good as art as painting.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you are going to deliver a presentation, firstly work on each and every slide. Please don't copy paste.
Mhm.
Create your own presentation. When you create your own presentation, you know about each slide. And when you create presentation, there are a few basic rules. Firstly, you have to get an idea on which topic I'm going to give my presentation. Then secondly, who is my audience, uh, whom I'm going to present. Then you will start doing homework about the topic. Firstly, you will do some brainstorming. What are the ideas which I'm going to present? See, when we do brainstorming, it is not necessary that we have all the ideas in sequence. So please write down all the ideas, and in the second phase, sort out the ideas to which are the important points which you want to present. Then
Mhm.
write them in sequence, do this work, and then prepare your slides. On each slide, how much data you want to represent. There is a basic rule of presentation which we call 6 by 6 matrix. Means not more 6 words in a line, and not more 6 lines on a slide. This is the basic idea of creating a presentation. See, if you are writing which you are going to speak on the slide, why would people listen to you?
Mhm. Yeah.
So slide should give only an idea what you are going to speak about.
Mhm.
Keep the speaking content with you only, because then your audience will be reading from the slides, and if you are also reading from the slides, then they will have no interest in you. So
Yeah.
when you are going to create an effective presentation, please do some homework, sort out your data firstly, create your slides accordingly, use the language which appeals your audience, which they are able to understand. And when you are creating your presentation, please do focus on few things. Firstly, means what is the distance between the speaker and the audience, because
Mhm.
it makes the difference.
Mhm.
If I'm going to present in a dim light room or in a bright lit room, because that will change your color scheme, your background, and the way you are creating your presentation.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
there are these few basic fonts, which fonts I am choosing, which animations I have taken. See, presentation should be a presentation to give the idea about your idea. It is not a movie to entertain the people,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? So means your message should be given directly to your audience when you are preparing a presentation. It should not like this, that at the end of the presentation people are lost in your fonts and colors, and they don't even remember why did this all started,
Mhm.
right? So this is how we should work on presentation. And when it comes to delivery part, again, please write a script in the beginning for each slide. If you are not comfortable, means if you think I'm not spontaneous enough to speak, prepare a script for each slide, rehearse speaking that in the beginning phase. You can even read from your script. You can keep your script with you. Once you will be finished with you, once you will be polished, then you will not be needing these scripts. Then you can have an idea. In fact, people of art experience also note down few points before writing, before speaking, because at
Mhm.
times we can miss or skip something,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that you can make a list while delivering, so it will give you a confidence. Yes, I'm not going to miss anything.
Yeah. And I think this is how people prepare for TED talks also.
Yes,
They prepare their script and they read it, they sleep with it. That's why they are delivering so good TED talks. Uh,
yes,
and like we youth normally wonder how they are able to speak spontaneously. So the secret is they are preparing for itself. Nothing is
yes.
spontaneous.
Yes, I would suggest you that you can listen to the speech of Shah Rukh Khan on TED Talks.
Yeah.
He was wonderfully good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay,
have listened
and
to
it
it.
was very much visible that how
Mm-hmm.
much efforts he has put in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, so it's all about efforts. How much efforts you are putting in. See, if something seems effortlessly good, So it means the person has really worked very hard.
Mm-hmm.
So he has worked that hard that his success is becoming effortlessly good. It doesn't happen overnight. But this person has slogged hard for years, then only he has become so fluent or so good in his area that now he is able to deliver it effortlessly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, ma'am, again, the next question comes like when it comes to the public speaking thing.
Mhm.
Uh, so, how few of us have stage fear and we are not comfortable being at the stage and deliver a talk or a speech or present our idea. So, how we as a youth, as a student, can overcome this stage fear? And second thing, what are some key points of delivering a very good and effective public speaking? Public
Okay.
speech.
Okay. Pooja, I'll ask you one question. Will you answer?
Yeah, sure.
Have you seen a butterfly?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you even do a smallest noise when there is a butterfly, it will go away?
No.
No. Or yes?
Uh, Sorry, I hadn't heard.
It means if you do some noise
Mm-hmm.
when there is a butterfly on a tree, so what will happen? It will go away or stay back?
Yeah. No, no. It will obviously it will fly away.
It will fly away. Okay, so same butterflies we have in our stomach when we start speaking on stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is simple fundamental which I have told you recently is going to work out. See, if you have a stage phobia,
Mm-hmm.
you need to keep your voice a little aloud. It helps a lot.
Okay.
Secondly, you should know your content.
Mm-hmm.
If you have worked homework well, if you have rehearsed well, so in
Mm-hmm.
the beginning there might be some confusion, there might be some nervousness, but once you start speaking you will start with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Stage phobia few people have, and the practice is the only key. More you speak in the beginning, you might not speak well, people might make fun of you, doesn't make any difference. Start
Mm-hmm.
speaking in your class, before your class. Firstly speak before your class, then participate in the events which are going on to be in your college, in your institution. Start participating in the beginning, probably you will not be able to win any prize, but yes,
Mm-hmm.
you will be able to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, so public speaking is something which comes only with the practice. Firstly, when you start facing people, one more thing I would suggest here. See, generally, you know what happens in general terms, we speak in generally, but
Mm-hmm.
in public presentation you have to got a mic in your hands or you have something voice enhancers, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you are going to present yourself in public, please practice on that beforehandedly, because our voice is different when we speak on mic, we speak on some enhancer, and our voice is different when we speak in general terms, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to go through public speaking, firstly prepare your speech very well, work
Mm-hmm.
on your content, be confident that yes, I have done my homework very well. So it will lessen your fear. Firstly, you can
Mm-hmm.
keep your some key points with you in the beginning, so that you don't forget anything, and you have means you have some satisfaction from inside. Yes, if I forget something, I have something with me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then yes, you should have a good command over the language, which is
Mm-hmm.
very much important. Your body language is equally important, your attire is equally important. You should look and feel good to yourself. If
Mm-hmm.
you're feeling good about yourself, then your confidence will be better. And in the beginning, as I told you, you should practice in advance with the voice enhancers. So at times I have seen the students who are speaking well in the classroom, but they are not able to deliver when it comes to mic,
Mm-hmm.
because they listen to their own voice and they got distracted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you can practice on mic beforehandedly. It will help you to give better public speeches, and obviously practice is the key. More you speak, more you learn.
Yeah. So I think this is a very good answer, and I just say the key points what my ma'am said about public speaking. The very important part is prepare a speech prior and practice it. Practice it with a mic or in and where practice it with the same environment where you are going to deliver your speech. If you are nervous, keep your voice little loud. It will help you to suppress your nervousness. And you can start practicing public speaking in your class, in your colleges, to overcome your fear of stage. So uh, people might laugh when you go in front of the class and start thinking, or you stop in between the speech. But the more you will practice of public speaking in front of audience, the more effective you will speak in coming days. The practice is the key. You have to practice, practice, and practice. Practice will help you to give a to deliver a good speech. And yeah, language matter, attire matter, and how you present yourself to the audience also matter. So as ma'am is stressing in whole art in the uh, since the beginning of the conversation, like the attire is what makes you feel comfortable and feel good to yourself. It will give you more confidence and you will deliver a good speech. So ma'am, we are at the end of our session, so I'll just take two questions from Umesh. uh, am I audible?
Yes, Pooja, you are very much audible.
Yeah. So so Umesh have one question. Like most of the time I ask to student that tell me about yourself that is not mentioned in your CV. I think he is talking about when he take interview, and they are able to answer, they are unable to answer these questions. And can you suggest anything better for answer this question, because now these days this is common question in interview.
Right. See, this question is a very good opportunity for the student. When we ask about the CV of the student, the his whole life can't be summed up in 2 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It is only a reflection of the professional and certain personal things. So student can have a lot about to tell. If I ask about, tell me something about something which is not mentioned in your CV, a student can narrate some incident which is close to him, something which he is doing apart from his academics which he has not mentioned. For example, I've seen students working for NGOs, working means part time, taking teaching students, weak students doing. In fact, I would share an incident with you. There was a first year student in my college, and even I didn't know about this thing, that other than being a full-time student, he was doing some designing work also part-timely, and that he was really good in that. So when he
Mm-hmm.
came to his interview, he told the interview very clearly, sir, that apart from all these things which are written in my CV, I'm a very good designer, and probably in few years I'll be pursuing my career in designing as well. So
Mm-hmm.
this is an opportunity. Some students might tell some incident which is close to them, or something which they did which is not mentioned in the CV. So this is a very good question for the students to tell about what actually is close to them,
Mm-hmm.
and which can explain them as a person in a better way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, so Umesh, I think other student whoever is being asked of this question can answer. Means you have a chance to narrate your more skills and in more thing which is not mentioned in the CV or which is beyond the scope of the CV.
Yes.
So this is a very good point, ma'am. Another question Umesh have, and I think this question is with the context of answer. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Umesh is saying, like I also face these answers about being manager and good at good position after 5 years. All these answers are frame out, but few students are true. So my problem is how to identify these real, how to identify the real answers and good candidate when everyone is answering you the same script.
See, Umesh, this is the something a problem which I think most of the interviewers are facing nowadays, because students take the same answer from the same portals and then they repeat the same things. So the key is in asking the right question. If the students are giving the same answer, please ask them the question which is not given in the syllabus. As simple.
Mm-hmm.
The student who will be true, he'll be able to answer, and the person who has crammed the answer, he'll not be able to answer.
Mm-hmm.
So though when the people are giving you framed answers, please ask them those questions which are not from that particular area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, or you can ask deep questions. See, let me tell you one thing from my experience, because I have been in the HR panel since years, that if a student has framed the answer, he would have framed only the basic answer. If you
Mm-hmm.
ask deeply, then he or she will not be able to answer. And I can quote you an example. Means 2 weeks back, we were taking
Mm-hmm.
an interview. Means we were in a panel of interview in a very renowned college of NCR, and I had with two other panelists with me who were from corporate, and a girl from MBA came for interview. And when we asked her what is her hobby, then she said, "Ma'am, book reading is my hobby." Okay,
Mm-hmm.
then okay, I asked her which book nowadays you are reading. Then she said, "Ma'am, nowadays I'm reading Shakespeare." Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like, because she might have thought that nobody reads to Shakespeare. Okay,
Yeah.
then I asked her, okay, which book you have read about Shakespeare, written by Shakespeare? She answered me, As You Like It. I have recently completed the book. So then I
Uh-huh.
asked her, okay, tell me the lover of name of the lover of Rosalind, and
Mm-hmm.
she
Yeah.
was dumbstruck.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
because she could not think in her wildest imagination that somebody could have read the same book and she might be remembering even the name of the characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so please ask deep questions.
Mm-hmm.
If you are thinking the students have framed the answers, ask deep questions. The student
Mm-hmm.
who is genuine, he will be able to answer. The student who is not genuine, he is or she will not be able to answer. And then this girl, she apologized. She said afterwards, after the session, she came to me and she said, "Ma'am, I thought nobody will ask question about Shakespeare. That's why
Yeah.
I named Shakespeare." Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, so this happens, and so please ask deep questions if you want to get real genuine candidates, because if a candidate is genuine, then he will not frame the question, frame the answers, and he will be actually knowing about the thing.
Yeah. Like we are almost about to end our session, so uh, I'll just point down some take-home points for our audience. So our session was on effective communication and personality development. So our session started with effective communication is the key role of success in today's era, because everything in today's era is depending upon our knowledge and how we are conveying our idea to others. So it is very important for us to practice a effective communication, and if we are not good in effective communications, we have to learn the skills of effective communications and how we and effective way to convey our idea. So how we are going to learn about effective communication? We have to start. So for being a good communicator, you have to be a good listener first. If you will listen someone uh, if you will listen someone with careful, then you can understand their tone, you can understand their idea what they think of it, and you can also enhance their language and vocabulary. So for first you listen, read some books what interest you, read the book or the topic in which you are interested in to make your language strong. So if you want to be good in communication, you have to work on your language. As English is a universal language today, so we somehow we need to be good at English language, so that if we are talking, if you are a North Indian and you have to talk or convey your idea to a South Indian person or someone who came from Japan, you can easily convey your message in the English if you are good in the English language. The second point and the third point, it comes about, then we discuss about personality development. Uh, so the main question was, what is personality? Personality is not about being uh, not about being beautiful. It is about being you at your best. So uh, for developing your personality, enhancing your personality, first you understand yourself, who you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and add write down everything and work on your strength to make it more effective, or more attractive, and work on your weaknesses to overcome it. And so this is how one can develop your personality. And you can always go and ask for help if you are facing more problems. So you can connect to our team or connect to ma'am for developing your for your personality development if you are facing problem. And then the very important discussion we had about group discussion. So you can watch our video to know more about how to give a good how to practice good group discussion ethics, and how to uh, overcome this group discussion challenge in which is the last round and where most of us fail. So the key point is be a good listener, know about what is happening around before sitting in the group discussion. Listen to other, give other chance to speak about it. uh, Group discussion is not a debate, as ma'am said. It is not a debate, it is a discussion where no one is winning. So it should be a discussion where you are listening to someone, understanding others views, and helping others to speak about. And then we have also discussed a lot about how to answer few important interview questions. You can go to our videos and watch watch it, listen to it, and if you have any question, comment it. uh, we will be very happy to answer you. Ma'am, we are almost about to end of the event. Would you like to add something, or would you like to give a message at the last minute for the students?
Yes, my message to the students is please do work hard. There's no shortcut which can adopt to get success. Please work on yourself firstly. You are the asset you are going to build. Whatever you build, you will be hired for that. If you are a diamond, you will be paid as a diamond. If you are an American diamond, you will be paid only as an American diamond. So please, okay, be genuine, work hard, and work on all the areas. See, effective communication is the key of success in most of the areas, so you cannot ignore it, right? So please work on your communication, work on your personality, and whatever questions you have, whatever queries you have, you can post us. As Pooja has rightly said, you can join me on Facebook with my name, you can join YuvaManthan, and you can send your queries to us, and we will be more than happy to help you all the best to all of you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. This was a very, very effective and very wonderful communication. And this conversation is solving very small points or difficulties for student face in interview or in their general life, but they are afraid of asking to someone, or they are not getting good, good advice, or good information what to do, what not to do. So this was a very helpful conversation for us. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being with us. We are
Thank you
very
so much,
happy
Pooja.
for it. Yeah. So so this message is for our audience. If you have any question, or you are watching this video when we are ending this, if you are watching this video when we are not live, you just comment your question in our comment box, or on our Facebook page, or you can directly ask to ma'am, and we will be very helpful to answer you. And if you want to discuss any sort of another topic like this, please let us know. We will try to connect you with that particular person, or we will try to connect you an expert of that field. So till then, have a great time. And if you are yet not subscribed our channel, please subscribe so that you will not miss our any upcoming event. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being with
Thank you,
us.
Pooja. Okay, good night.
Good night. Good night, everyone. See you next Saturday. So.